started school counseling in 1999, and I thought it was going to be really fun and I was going to make a huge difference. And the job was really fun, but it was also really hard because I saw kids with pretty extreme behavior.
So when I was younger, I always wanted to be a psychologist, and I was guided into the career as a school psychologist. And so when I first started in the profession, I started in Vegas, but then I moved to the same school as Tracy, and I got to the school, and what I found is we had a lot of kids with significant behaviors, and I had absolutely no idea what to do.
And I really wasn't prepared to deal with that behavior as a school counselor, and I felt like the schools weren't either.
I even remember one of the first cases, my principal told me I need to go down, there's a parent meeting, and I need to help the teacher figure out what behavior plan to put in place. And I was like scared to death because people are going to figure out that I really don't know what I'm doing. And I got in the meeting, and the only training that I had in my undergrad and graduate, a huge part had to do with like using systematic reinforcement with animals, right? So if the mouse pushes the lever, the light turns on, they get food. So you use systematic reinforcement. So I sit down in this meeting, and they're talking about the behavior, and I say, well, maybe we should do a sticker chart, because that was the extent of my knowledge that was the third year as a school psych. And the teacher looked at me and said, Lena, really? A sticker chart? And that's when I realized I had not a clue of what to do.
And a lot of what was being put in place for the classroom management programs that were put in place wasn't addressing things like running from the classroom, destroying the classroom, kind of some sexual, harassment towards other kids. It wasn't really addressing those things. And I knew if there was no accountability, those kids were not going to mature like they needed to. I thought, what is going to happen? What is going to happen in our schools to help make that change? And do I want to stay in a system where I feel like I'm not going to be able to make a difference? And so I had thought, you know what? I'm giving education one more year. And after that, if it doesn't improve, I'm getting out. I'm going to go do something else. And in that year, Lena became the school psychologist at my school. And together, we found that we both were feeling just as discouraged with what was happening in the school setting.
And so Tracy and I, she was a school counselor working with me, and we brought in an emotionally disturbed program into our school. And that was really the impetus for a huge change for both of us, because we realized these kids' behavior, because of the level of trauma that they had, the level of behavior where it's spitting, it's hitting, it's stripping down naked, it's running away, it's hurting other people, was so significant that we had to get more tools.
And so we got trained in so much stuff like love and logic, EMDR. We went and volunteered at a camp for children and their families, and the kids were diagnosed with attachment issues. I was trained by attachment therapists. We read tons of books.
And so we went on a huge journey of study. Not only were we reading every book we could get our hands on, whether it was about the brain, how the brain worked, huge training in attachment and how children are attached. I went all the way back to the beginning of attachment research and studied from the beginning until our current day. We looked at childhood development and all the research and the different theories on child development, what kids needed. We looked at trauma in the brain.
And through all of that, we figured out ways to hold kids accountable and still have that sensitivity towards some of the things they've gone through in their life. And some of them have been through terrible things. And we really learned that you still had to have the accountability, but what you put in for maybe prevention helped the kids deal with some of the trauma they had, some of the issues they had, or how we talked to the kids after the consequence happened.
And all of a sudden, we were starting to see that we were able to put strategies in place, and kids were able to grow, they were able to mature, they were able to exit from emotionally disturbed programs. We were able to work with kids in the general ed setting and get them to a point where they didn't even need to go into these programs because we were able to put behavior plans in place for them.
And so all the things we've learned have gone into our online trainings and our live conferences.
To go in and to teach educators, to teach administrators, what do we do in the school setting to help these kids? Well, now fast forward to the late 2000s, to COVID, to social media. All of those things have happened since Tracy and I started this journey. And in the past, where you might have 2 or 3 kids per building with significant behaviors, you now have 2 or 3, 4 or 5 kids per classroom with significant behaviors because of what's happening in society at large. Teachers are overwhelmed. Parents are overwhelmed. As a society, we're very, very confused about what kids need. And Tracy and I saw, even in the late 90s, a fear of holding kids accountable, because it's almost like even now we're scared that if we hold them accountable, we're going to create trauma. Not understanding that's a huge part of what kids need to grow, to mature, and to learn.
I think it's a disservice to the kids. I think it's a disservice when we pretend that their behavior is okay instead of following through with accountability so that we can have an authentic relationship with them. I think that relationship is what they need to help them work through any trauma they've had or any other issues they have. I think it also guides and leads them to have positive peer relationships, which they are going to need when they're an adult. So to me, we're needed because we can be that roadmap to setting in that accountability and helping kids truly emotionally mature. That we all want kids to mature, we want kids to do well, but we don't know how to deal with some of these behaviors. And Lena and I have specific strategies that help make a difference. It's not perfect, it's not rocket science, and it's not magic, but it does matter and it does help.
It's when we can get parents, teachers, the schools, all working alongside each other.
Yeah.
And then I watch teachers become more confident because the more teachers and parents understand what's going on,
yeah,
and then they become empowered. Mm-hmm. And they start fighting for the kids. They start working with the parents, and they become consistent, and that's when real change happens.
Yeah. So ways that people can use us or how they can access us. We have a live training in Colorado. That's in June. We have our part 1 and our part 2. Our part 1 is looking at a lot of the strategies to work with behavior. And then our part 2 is helping the educator work on themselves so that they are able to manage all the behavior that's coming their way. You can also get all of our trainings online. That's through NNU. You can get college credit, or they're on demand through us if you just want certificate of completion. And then we're going to be starting a webinar series with ourselves and other experts. And we're inviting both parents and teachers so that we can start understanding development, understanding accountability together, and we can work as a team, because Lena and I know when we work as a team, we can make huge changes.